Ladies and gentlemen, introducing the worst fucking podcast you've ever heard. Both mics.
All right. Welcome to both mics. Welcome everybody. I am Mike Sofka, and usually Mike Taylor is on the other side there, but we have another Mike. So we're still technically both mics, so the show can still go on. He's affectionately known as Trey Sofka, though. Trey, how are you?
I muted my mic and I already blew it.
That's all right. That's all right.
I am well. Thanks for the invite.
Yeah, well, thank you for sitting in. Mike Taylor on a cruise. He's gone somewhere. I can't tell where. I could tell, but because what are you going to do about it? But, I'd rather not give out personal information there too much anyway. So, this weekend's Halloween. Are you dressing up?
Yeah, I'm already in what looks to be a flaming pumpkin patch. Is that fire? I can't even really tell.
It looks like your hair's on fire sometimes when you lean back.
Yeah, so my hair's on fire. I got pumpkins all around me, some spooky looking pumpkins around me. I'm ready. I'm ready for the weekend.
I like it. And of course, you can always chat with us in the chat if you're watching us live on twitch.tv/bothmics. Mike usually handles that part, Trey, so that's you today. So,
gotcha. Okay.
Because we have so many people chatting with us during the show.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
No, I wish. Hey, listen, Halloween candy. What's your favorite Halloween candy? Do you like candy corn or?
I'm not a big candy corn guy. I usually go towards the fruit flavored candy, so like your Skittles, your Sour Patch, your Starburst. That's usually how I go, but I'm a sucker for the pumpkin Reese's that they hand out, where it's like a Reese's cup but just fatter in the shape of a pumpkin, a lot more peanut butter inside. So usually peanut butter chocolates and fruit ones I'm a sucker for.
Do you remember dressing up for Halloween as a little kid? Did you have a favorite Halloween character or something you dressed up as?
I remember, God, I want to say I was like maybe 6. I would think I was a white Power Ranger, like the Ninja Power Ranger from the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie.
Mm-hmm.
That was
you could still do that today. That's still relevant today, right?
Plays.
Timeless.
It still plays. It came back, yeah. I think one year I was an Uruk-hai, one of the bad guys from Lord of the Rings. I've had some cool ones.
Any favorite memories from Halloween? Like you went to such and such house and it had full-size candy bars or something like that? Anything crazy stick out?
The one that sticks out to me was going to Grandma's house, and Grandma has a tendency to go above and beyond for holidays, as she would. And I remember one of the Halloweens, I believe it was like me and one of the cousins were like in the yard area with like toy chainsaws and toy like things that made noise and spooked people. So like while people were walking up to get a plethora of candy from Grandma, we would go up there and spook them real good. So that was always
nice. That's funny. That's always fun stuff. We used to do a thing the night before Halloween when I was in New Jersey when I was growing up, and it's known as Cabbage Night or Mischief Night or whatever, and you used to go out and soap up car windows and egg houses and toilet paper shit. It's just that's what you did. So Donna and I were like 4 and 5 years old, and we wanted to be big. It was dark out, but we wanted to go and have Mischief Night, go out and soap up car windows. So your grandma was like, "Yeah, okay, go ahead. Yeah. Here's some soap. Here, just go ahead." So we went to the next door neighbor's house and started soaping up his windows on his car. We got like one streak of soap in. "What are you doing in my yard?" And we went and ran back in the house. That was it. So
that was the extent of it, huh?
Your grandma thought it was pretty funny. We could have went anywhere and did anything. We went to the next door neighbor, started putting soap on his car window, and we got busted.
Surely he knew who you were too, so there was no anonymity.
Yeah, well, that was different. Halloween was different back then. And maybe it was a region thing. Maybe I think it's a region thing, because when Halloween would fall on a weekend day, woohoo, that was excitement because you could trick or treat all day. See,
Yeah.
down here it doesn't really get started. I think it's because of the heat and chocolate and stuff like that, maybe.
100%. Yeah.
But you have to wait till dark out, or you have to wait till nighttime, and then, it's not getting darker very later. It doesn't get later earlier now. Does that make any sense? So
Sure.
you only get a couple hours trick or treating. But when we were growing up, if it was on a weekend day, man, or as soon as you come home from school, you'd be dressed from school anyway. You'd have your costume on that you could wear to school, and you'd go and have parties all day at school. Then you'd go hit houses on the way home when you walked home. Not going to walk past these houses without hitting them up for some candy. And then you got home, and then, your grandma had to take us to her mom's, and the other grandma, dad's mom, and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. So we'd make out at those places. But then we hit the neighborhood that they lived in, too. So, it was just all day. Big... You'd have to unload your pumpkin. You have to go back and unload it because you had the little plastic pumpkin. You'd run back out again, and you'd hit the same houses again. Didn't I see you before? Oh, what? No.
No, me?
And you knew which houses to go back to and which houses not to go. Oh, that one's raisins. Skip that one. Oh, that one. They give you pennies in a Ziploc bag. Skip that one.
Yeah. Yeah, I think part of the reason with the Halloween, you mentioned Halloween just getting later and later, is that I think with the decoration game, so to speak, has gone way over the top in recent years, and a lot of the decorations for Halloween get inspired from Christmas. So it's like the lights, the purple, the green, the orange, the spooky, the fog machine, the this, the that, the laser projector on the garage that shows a ghost. That doesn't play during the daytime.
Yeah.
So like you could have some decorations out for Halloween, but you're not getting full effect with all the lasers and the smoke and the this, the that until it's nighttime. So I think it's a little bit of everything put together that's kind of causing that shift. But I've got to say, over the past 4 years of Halloween, last year excluded, we would buy a bunch of candy to give out to people. We were pumped. We were like, let's go. This is going to be awesome. We're going to see some sweet costumes. In 3 years combined, we had 2 trick-or-treaters come to our house.
Yeah, that's the way it is lately here. And I'm in a neighborhood. There's kids all over the place. But I think because a lot of the schools and churches put on trunk or treat type things and safe Halloween and all this. But shoot, we'd go out. Well, I wouldn't come home till like 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, when I was, 8 years old or whatever, with a pillowcase because the plastic pumpkin couldn't hold as much,
Yeah, and the first year we were really bummed out because like we'd be checking the door, everything, and like we'd hear a car drive by and we're like, oh, are those people? And then it's like, nope, no people.
Damn it,
and so
I'm gonna have to eat all this candy.
Yeah, I know. So the 2 kids that did come, I loaded them up.
Sure.
I was like, what? You get the half the bag.
That's right.
You get whatever you want. And it's funny because you mentioned, oh no, I have to eat all this candy. We'd buy like some stuff we liked so that in the event that nobody came, at least we had some snacks. We had some treats for the next couple of weeks. So.
Do you remember going to houses where they leave the candy out on a tray table and it's like take one or whatever?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Did you empty the bowl or no or what? You left one?
Emptied the bowl. I think the extent of my mischief was taking 2 if it said please take one.
Yes.
I think it was a big thing where if other people were like right behind us, I didn't want to empty the bowl and be like, screw you, sucker. I got all the candy. I was like, I don't want to be that guy.
Right.
I don't like that guy started so early.
Do you remember going to houses where like they have an elaborate setup and they maybe have like a scarecrow sitting in the chair, then you get up there and it's a dude and he's like, ah.
Yeah, I remember that a couple times. Yeah. I always enjoyed those because it was more than just go up, get the candy, bye-bye. Like it was like having that little scare element made it more of an experience.
Right.
It made it more memorable. So I love when people do that. But I just think, I don't know. I don't want to make assumptions just based on my personal experience because I'm sure it's different for everyone. But it just seems like it's with the trunk or treats and with the school events and with the church events and all that, I just feel like it's not as widespread as it was, and it's a little more dialed in. It's not as loosey goosey.
Well, even when I was, a kid, I mean, we're talking almost 50 years ago or so, there was reports of people putting razor blades in apples and handing them out. So like we weren't allowed to eat any of the candy till it was inspected at the house. That was a thing even back then. But I mean, nowadays there's crazy people out there. You can't just send your kids out. Your kids not dressed like they normally are. You can't tell them apart from anybody else should they go missing. And you're sending them to strangers' house who are luring them in with candy. What's wrong with this picture?
Yeah.
Think about it.
Yeah, it's any other day of the year you're calling the police, but one day a year you're like, no, it's fine.
Yeah, go ahead and change the way you look too. Make it more difficult. Dress up like a Smurf, like all the other 100 kids. So it's really hard to find you.
Yeah. Yeah, Smurf, by the way. I love that. Love that. Nobody's been a Smurf for 25 years. But my favorite is when people are like, oh, they're putting drugs in candy. Be careful, you might get edibles. Nobody's doing that.
Nobody's giving out their edibles. Stop.
Yeah, nobody's giving that stuff away. Are you kidding me? The
I
margins
$6
on that
for this edible bar here. No, I'm not giving those out.
It's fiscally irresponsible to be doing that. Nobody's going to be doing that. It's not a thing. It's not real. That's fake.
Well, we used to get this. It was like they sold it in a roll, and you'd unroll it, and it was paper, and it had like different color dots on it, and they were like candies, and you eat them off the paper and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
Wax lips and stuff like that was always fun.
Yeah, I think I had that a couple times early on, but I never got the appeal. I'm like, this sucks. This is way too much work. Like this is a whole lot of nothing. Like it looks better than it actually is because you see the paper and you're like, oh, there's so many, but then the dots are this big, microscopic, and it's like this isn't worth the juice. Isn't worth the squeeze on this. No way.
And then they used to have wacko stuff, like there was these wax things that had like this toxic liquid inside in all different colors. Sometimes they'd be shaped as bottles, whatever. Yep. You have to chew the wax off, drink the liquid, then you chew on the wax for a while. And then they'd have candy cigarettes, man. Candy cigarettes. They came in a pack, and each cigarette candy was like gum or something. And when you got them first out of the pack, you could take that first one, and they had like a powder sugar on the outside, and you could blow through it, and it looked like smoke came out. And it was like, Jesus, that would not go today at all. I mean, jeez.
No, big tobacco had its stranglehold on the candy scene for a minute.
Bubblegum cigars and stuff. Oh yeah, man. Yeah, they were training you.
Oh yeah.
So, hey, on Sunday, which is Halloween, they're saying we may get a problem. We may have a problem with something called the solar flare. Have you heard about this?
I've heard of solar flares. I don't know about this one in particular, though.
Well, they say it's affected some parts of the world already. This is according to NewYorkPost.com, so it must be true. Halloween solar flare headed for Earth could disrupt power grid. So they're saying that the sun launched a massive solar flare yesterday that's headed in Earth's direction. The strongest storm seen in the current weather cycle. See, right now we're safe because it's night. So there's no solar flare going to come here.
Yeah, no solar flares, please. Get out of here.
The volley of radiation may trigger the northern lights if it collides with our atmosphere and could cause major issues for power grids, experts suggest. NASA's Solar Dynamics Observatory, which tracks the sun's activity, captured an image of the event at 11:35 Eastern, yada yada. Of course, that's
is that the image?
I don't know if that's the exact image. That's the image that goes with the story, so I'll give it that. Flares are ranked by letter, with the biggest labeled as X class. The smallest flares are A class. This one is considered to be an X class. So this is like a Category 5 hurricane. This is what it is. That picture there is a picture of a solar storm or flare coming off, but it's not clear whether that's the same one.
Gotcha.
So be warned. Halloween, you might be without power. That'd be crazy, huh?
Yeah. Have you seen the movie The Purge?
No, but I know about it a little bit. I've seen highlights of it or whatever.
Yeah, this is the makings of a little Purge movie here.
Oh, is that what
All of
happens? The power goes out on Halloween?
there's been like 5 or 6 Purge movies, so I'm sure this is the story for one of them. But like the whole premise of the Purge is that all crime is legal for 12 hours, and so one of the things that some of the bad guys do when they're out and about up to no good, they cut the power on some places, and that makes things a little spookier, a little scarier. So this has the makings of a real life Purge situation. So depending on where it's affected, this could get very interesting.
Yeah, nowadays, like we talked about, it's a different world nowadays. You can't just send your kids out. But then again, do you really want like we talked about, do you really want your kids going around the neighborhood? I mean, I don't. I mean, I know my neighbors. I know who they are. I know some of them. I don't know all of them. And I don't know who they know that's over at their house. I used to be a time where you'd go to somebody's house and sometimes they'd have like a haunted house set up in the front lawn or something and stuff. You can't do that now. You can't do that. It's crazy.
Yeah, so two things on that. One, did you know insurance companies sell haunted house insurance?
Shut up. Really?
Yeah, I swear. So so if you have like a haunted house that you have people go through like in your front yard, because technically they're on your property, you could buy insurance for the day of Halloween, so that in the event that something does happen, you're covered. That's a real thing that some insurance companies do.
Well, that's out there for a reason, because somebody sued somebody.
100%. That if it exists for a reason. But something I wanted to touch on was, you mentioned like you don't know who lives in your neighborhood, who they know. Honestly, it's like that not knowing has always been the not knowing. It's just you weren't aware of all the registries, all the different.
There were still serial killers. You just didn't know about them necessarily.
Of course, yeah. So it's not like people are like, oh, there's a lot more pedophiles now than there are when I were growing up. No. Still the same amount. You just know about one. That's the only difference. So.
Wow. Well, so this may have an impact on the Earth's magnetic field as well, which in turn can disrupt power grids and communications networks. Don't have to worry about radiation. Apparently, radiation from a flare can't pass through the Earth's atmosphere, but I guess the magnetism, yada yada, yada yada. Let's see.
So we won't become the Incredible Hulk, but power might go out. Got it.
The sun is currently at the start of a new 11-year solar cycle, which usually sees eruptions and flares grow more intensive and extreme, again, according to NewYorkPost.com. These events are expected to peak around 2025, and it's hoped the solar orbiter will observe them all as it aims to fly within 26 million miles of the sun. So they're putting something up there to measure this stuff, so that's good, I guess. I can't imagine being 26 million miles away, and that's close.
Right?
Yeah, it's right down the corner. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm 5 minutes away.
Can we get an Uber?
Million. Yeah. It's well, I don't know if this is reassuring or ease of mind, but if the sun does blow up, we'll never know it because it'll be like that. We'll be gone instantly.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Think about how big the sun is and how concentrated that thing is. If anything seriously ever goes down, it's not like we're going to be staring at it as it slowly encroaches us. It's like, no. It's going to be real quick.
Right. Well, speaking of stuff like that, there's a chance that we're going to have an asteroid hit us sometime. I mean, it's math at a certain point, okay? But they're asking what would happen now if an asteroid was going to hit Earth. There's hypotheticals out there as to how things would happen and our response and all this. And it brought me back to that movie because, I forget the name of the movie. It had Bruce Willis and Liv Tyler in it. Armageddon? Not Armageddon. Was it Armageddon? Where they go up in a rocket or something? Yeah, they're trying to do... Well, NASA has something...
They send miners to space instead of astronauts? Yeah.
Yeah, well, that one. I think they should send adults, not just minors.
Yeah, there you go. Boom.
Nice. That was great, Mike. All right, so listen, there's a thing called DART, and I looked it up and I found out what DART stood for, but now I'm drawing a blank, so I'm scanning through the thing. But there is something out there that they can shoot. They're thinking they can shoot down an asteroid. This is according to space.com. It's the NASA's DART asteroid deflection mission about to launch, and a new movie, asteroid disaster movie, coming to Netflix. So these two things are happening simultaneously. I don't think it's a. You think it's a coincidence that the movie's coming out about a situation like this, and now we have a way to do this? Actually,
listen, that's phenomenal marketing. Tip of the hat to Netflix.
Yeah.
Tip of the hat.
Double asteroid redirection test, DART, DART, double asteroid redirection test. I don't want the test. I want the real thing, man.
Right? Is it in the shape of a dart?
See, these are things I want to know. I didn't see it.
Is it being launched by a giant hand
Yes.
like this and just released at a certain point? Like, what's the launch look like on this thing? We have questions. We demand answers.
It's scheduled to depart on November 23rd. The spacecraft will eventually slam into a small asteroid orbiting a larger asteroid to see if the maneuver will change its course or so it orbits closer. The measurements of the moon's orbit will be made to see if the path shifted in partnership with a European Space Agency spacecraft. Here's my thing. If you're worried that the moon's orbit is going to be screwed up and you even think you have to measure that, what does the moon control? It's our lunar cycles control the tides, the water. The Earth's 2/3 water. So if the moon's affected, we're affected. So I guess that's smart they're doing that, but if it's a remote possibility that you're going to affect the moon's orbit, stop. Stop.
Right.
Time out.
Yeah. Well, I like when situations like this happen with asteroids, and like you read the story, you're like, Earth nearly got hit by this asteroid, and then you read it was only 900,000 miles away.
Close.
It's like that. I feel like that's pretty good. Like if it was like 1,000 miles away, I'd be like, oh damn, okay, like okay, this is serious. But like, 900,000, that's pretty good. That's not that close.
That's the danger. You know, it sounds, because for us, you either go 3,000 miles or go coast to coast in this country, and you're like, oh man, it's far. Take you 3 days to drive that, or going up and down the East Coast and take you 24 hours. But when you're in space, you're moving so much at greater speeds anyway. Your weight's different, your mass is different, your speed is different, velocity, all that stuff's different. The gravitational pulls of other large objects. I mean, it's crazy, man. I don't want the test version. Don't tell me about the test. You probably already know the answer if you have to measure the moon's orbit. Don't even tell me.
The real question is, like, what? There's got to be. I feel like there's an ulterior motive with sending this to the asteroid.
Absolutely.
So it's like, is this really a launch test for something bigger, something badder? Like, what is this really for?
Looking for more minerals, rare earth minerals, things that we have, things that we dig up, which are brought from other planets, like lithium, and which is a huge thing now. Gold, huge. All these minerals, they just didn't appear on Earth. They came from other. We've had asteroids hit us in the past. We just weren't alive. We didn't know.
So ideally, if an asteroid were to hit, where would be the best place in the world for it to hit that would cause like the least amount of issue?
New Jersey.
New Jersey.
I don't know.
Like I'm thinking like Nova Scotia, like somewhere way up north in Canada, or I feel like the middle of the ocean would be terrible because the impact and then the ripple effect would be wild.
Tsunamis and tidal waves on both sides.
Oh, it'd be absurd. But like if it landed in North Dakota, I think we can all shake our hands at that point. We're like, you know what? This is a fair compromise. That's fair.
Well, they say like if the volcanoes in Yellowstone erupt, that could affect our entire country because of a cloud. And so, I mean, even an asteroid, an impact, depending on how big it was, I guess it could clog up the atmosphere. It could shadow out the sun. It can make the air unbreathable for long periods of time. I mean, there's a lot that can go on just from something thousands of miles away from us.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? Send Bruce Willis up there. Get him. Go get him, Bruce. Get him. Save us, Bruce.
Speaking of old guys in the news here, you heard about this Alec Baldwin thing?
Yeah, I've read a little bit about it. I was scrolling Twitter late one night when it first broke, and I'm like, how the, like, I was like, how does this even happen? Like, what the heck?
Why do you have live ammunition on a film set? I mean, who are you impressing?
Yeah.
What are you doing? They said they were shooting target practice.
Uh-huh.
Now supposedly there's been 4 different people to handle the gun before Alec Baldwin fired the fatal shots here.
Yeah.
Armorer Hannah Gutierrez Reed, suspected property master Sarah Zachary, and assistant director David Halls all handled the gun before Alec Baldwin accidentally shot and killed Helena Hutchins in Santa Fe, New Mexico at Bonanza Creek Ranch. Here's my whole thing. They said they had problems on the set of this movie before the movie even started. Like 2 days before this, they even had complaints and people walking off the set. They said something about unsafe practices and so forth, and then they went on to name that people were actually leaving. They were people that are real movie people were like, no, we're leaving. I mean, you don't just leave a project. You don't just leave money on the table, especially nowadays. So
yeah,
I find it awkward and weird that Alex Baldwin was the one to pull the trigger, and he's like executive producer on this. So he could say, well, I didn't know and I didn't check the gun and all this stuff, and you know, he doesn't know any better or whatever. That's fine.
Yeah.
Because there's other people on a movie that are responsible for that. But when you're the executive producer, you're in charge of the people who are responsible for that.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're in a no-win situation there, and you killed somebody.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I was reading a little bit about this, just because the whole story is so bizarre. I think I read that, like, due to some of the writer strikes and some of the actors and filmmaker strikes that have been going on, that they had people that they normally wouldn't have had due to the strike on set taking care of some of these things. So it's one of those things where this tragic event kind of helps those people that were on strike, because they're like, look, we've been on strike for a week and look what happened.
Somebody died
from a prop gun.
Yeah.
Like, you guys don't know what you're doing. We know what we're doing. Like, it's just crazy. There's just so many different elements to it, and I think one of the assistant directors had issues in the past on past movie sets with the way, like, prop guns and stuff were handled, like, not safely. So it's just bad for everyone involved. It's just real bad.
Well, they've done some searching. They've had warrants. They've done some investigations, and pretty much they go on to say in this article here on foxnews.com, so it must be true, the guns were secured in a safe on a prop truck. However, during lunch, ammunition was left unsecured on a cart on the set. According to search warrant, Zachary, let me roll back up, find out who Zachary is here. Sarah Zachary. She was the one first mentioned in this. She has a role in this gun here. So they say that according to Zachary, who's believed to have served as the prop master. See, now when you're looking at the credits, you know what the prop master does now.
Yeah, okay. Now I know.
So served as the prop master on Rust. That was the name of the production they were shooting. Removed the guns from the safe in the truck after lunch and handed them to somebody named Gutierrez. Gutierrez, 24, told authorities that only a few people knew the combination to the safe. She also had handled the gun. She said that she handed the gun to Baldwin multiple times and also handed it to assistant director Dave Halls. Halls handed the gun to Baldwin before the fatal shooting, per the warrant. So I guess they're wondering if there was any, nefarious action with the gun. I think it was something stupid. I think they had the live ammo, and somebody saw the ammo laying there and went, "Oh, I better put this in this with the," and didn't know the difference. And
this I think this is one of those situations where I feel like the prop. What was it? The prop. Was it a cart or was it like a storage locker? You said
it was in a locked combination safe in a props truck because they were out on location.
Okay, so for that, if they have, hey, first off, why do you even have live ammunition on the set?
That's my point.
A, why is that there? And B, if you have live ammunition versus prop ammunition, you need to make the prop ammunition like fluorescent purple with an orange tip, straight up like a Nerf bullet, just so there is no confusion whatsoever.
Well,
you can't actually pick it up and
nowadays, though, with the HD technology and all this stuff, you can see grains of sand. So they go for realistic-looking stuff. Like if somebody's pointing a gun right at you, you can look down. If it's one of those wheeled barrel guns, like a 6-gun, you can actually see some of the bullets in there. And if it had a bright green tip on it or whatever, you would see that, I guess.
See, that's where I disagree. Have you ever seen a movie called Avatar?
Yeah.
There's a lot of CGI that can be implemented.
Yeah,
you can take out a little orange on the tip of a bullet if it means saving a cinematographer's life. Like, I don't buy that. And another point, why have a real gun on set in the first place?
Well, I've been thinking about that, and I agree with that, and I'm saying the same thing, but then I'm thinking about it. They were on location in New Mexico. You've been there. Is there rattlesnakes and stuff like that around? But I would think you would have a guy for that he would have the only live gun, the one guy, the security guy. Okay, if we come up with a rattlesnake, we're gonna call you with the walkie-talkie. You're gonna come over and shoot it.
Yeah. I don't know. The whole, it just seems like a very old school Hollywood mentality. Oh, we gotta have a real prop gun. We gotta have this. We gotta have that. No, you don't.
You just hold out your hand in front of a green screen.
Hold out your hand. Like, listen, you can go on Twitter right now and say, "Hey, can someone Photoshop a gun in my hand?" And it will be very real in 15 minutes flat. Like, especially when you have some of the like Alec Baldwin, for example. Like, you're telling me he can't find somebody that's good with CGI? I don't know. It just seems like a very old school Hollywood tactic, and I would not be surprised if this brings some sweeping change to how things like that are handled, because it's 2021. CGI is outstanding nowadays. I just don't see a need to really do that anymore.
Well, maybe if you had a gun, you'd shoot one of these if you were a North Korean, because North Korea is apparently having some sort of food crisis. And according to NewYorkPost.com, North Koreans are being told to eat black swans.
Okay.
I've never eaten a black swan, but they say black swan meat is delicious and has medicinal value. The ruling party newspaper Rodong Sinyeom said on Monday as it pushed the bird meat, which is rarely eaten anywhere in the world.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard people call that blue heron type bird the ribeye in the sky, but those are endangered and you can't hunt or kill those or eat those. But
yeah.
I don't know. Is this something that you think this has got to be a real story? I mean, it's in New York Post. I mean, I don't believe
Have you seen the leader of North Korea?
Yeah.
He's a chunky guy. I don't think there's a food shortage for him. maybe for the rest of the country, maybe. But I gotta say, I'm curious. I'm curious. Is it going to be like? Is it going to? To me, just looking at the bird, it's got to be between duck and turkey, right?
Okay.
Like in terms of texture, in terms of flavor, it's got to be.
All right, I'll buy that.
Curious.
What's curious, though, is research into breeding the rare ornamental birds for food began in spring of 2019, with state-sponsored researchers even claiming the meat has anti-cancer properties. Eating swans is considered taboo throughout most parts of the world. They are seen as a bad omen by many in China.
Interesting. So that could be a scare tactic by the North Koreans to China, like, hey, we're eating black swans. What are you going to do about it? But the thing is, so was the anti-cancer research done by North Korean scientists?
Yeah, you got to take that for what it is. I mean, that same head of the science department for the country of North Korea could probably get a job as lead janitor here in the States. I mean.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you gotta be real careful, especially with was his Un? Is it Kim Jong Un? Is that the guy who's in?
Yeah.
Yep, Kim Jong Un. I think it's Kim Jong Un, but supposedly he shot an 18 in a round of golf one time. Just think about that whenever you hear anything coming out of North Korea.
Was that at the Congo River raft drop or golf?
No. Legit golf course.
Par 72. He shot an 18.
Oh, yeah. Par 72. He hit an 18 hole-in-one every single shot. So just take it with a grain of salt. I don't know. I got to say, like, despite all...
How'd you do? 50 under.
Yeah, exactly. Casual 50 under today. Not too shabby. Yeah, I gotta say, I'm curious about what it tastes like. I don't think I'll ever have the opportunity, but I am. It
reminds me of that movie Sacha Baron Cohen with the dictator. Did you see that?
Uh-huh.
He's in the leg race and he turns around and shoots two guys as he's running.
Yeah.
He's winning all the events in their own Olympics.
Uh-huh.
It's crazy. Well, this is so crazy. This is going to bring us right into something we do each week here. I know you've seen it, Trey, called the Alien Update. So stand by.
Fast-looking alien! Where? Warning! Alien approaching! Warning! Biophysical experiments extremely dangerous for Earth people.
It's a pretty good robot. He's a little bit of an alien, too. But I think he's an alien robot. You could be an alien robot, right? Like, not all robots are domestic.
I computed the aliens. They are capable of sinister and dangerous acts.
You weird alien man!
All right. The Alien Update is all about the people on this planet that I think are aliens. Let me tell you, there's like 7 billion people on the planet, and there's like a handful of them that control most of the wealth and most of the technology, and they're bringing us as a society into the next great time period. I mean, think about how many things have been invented and done in the past couple of years. Think about these guys. You mean to tell me there's 7 billion people in the world, and only like Jeff Bezos and Mark Zuckerberg and Bill Gates, Richard Branson, all these guys have all this technical knowledge. They're advancing technology and science beyond belief. And they're also, Elon Musk is worth like $300 billion. Don't tell me that, oh, he's just a smart guy. Bull crap. You're an alien, dude. That's the only answer I accept on this stuff. Your thoughts?
I think there are definitely aliens roaming among us. Have you seen there's a documentary, it's called it's about Bob Lazar.
Yeah.
You know, Bob Lazar. So there's a documentary, because we went to when we were traveling earlier this year, we went to Roswell, and we were checking out that city. And so the day before we went, we watched the documentary Bob Lazar. I think it's called Area 51 and Flying Saucers, and he was like this super smart scientist. If not MIT, something very close to it. Like he had the credentials. He got hired on to work for the government, and he said that he was working on alien spacecraft that they were like reverse engineering to try to figure out how it worked and how they can use it. And it's just a super interesting watch. Not going to butcher the details here, but I definitely think there are those individuals among us. I just don't think that they would be front center like these guys are. I think they're the guy. The aliens would be the guys behind the guys, behind those guys.
I get it.
So I definitely think it's out there, and there is some. I feel like there's a lot of foreign technology that exists on planet Earth that we have no idea about, that came from elsewhere.
Well, I totally agree. Especially if you ever watch those ancient alien shows.
Oh yeah.
You want to know what's funny to me about that ancient alien stuff? It's on the History Channel.
Right.
It's like, okay, what are you telling me here? Are you just because you're televising? Anyway. Speaking of one of those guys that I talked about, there's Mark Zuckerberg. They're changing the name of Facebook to Meta. Well, they're changing the parent company. And apparently this has something to do with their new thing that they're coming out with called the Metaverse. Have you heard about this?
I saw a brief video of it. I was scrolling through, and I was like, I'm out.
Well, the funny thing is, and I don't know if this is funny or not, but to be precise, Meta is pronounced like the feminine form of a Hebrew word, which is dead. It means dead.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I don't understand how they didn't cross-check that, or how they don't know that meta means dead, or they just don't care, or is that part of the alien thing? Like, some of the alien technology belongs to the Jews, some of it's to the Muslims. I mean, what are we doing here?
I don't know. Maybe this is Facebook's way of saying that even beyond death, you will exist in the metaverse.
Well, I saw
a little tip of the cap there.
I saw something they do, and it's something like a meetings type situation. I don't know, nowadays with the lockdowns and everything, we've had Zoom, Skype, and all these meetings is one, I think. And the Facebook one that I saw looks like a boardroom sitting around, and there's a TV screen, but all the people are cut off like at the waist, but they look like Lego people cut off at the waist, and you can develop your own character and all this stuff. Are they going to take this even further, though, is my question. Are they going to take this to... I imagine the porn industry would be very interested in this technology. I mean, I'm trying to figure out what's going to be the next thing because of this is happening, this metaverse. Is it going to be a thing where we're going to lose people to the metaverse because they're going to be so enthralled and so wrapped up in it mentally? I mean, it's almost like that nowadays with the internet. People get caught in these fake realities. Now we're adding pictures and faces to it. I mean, in real time.
Yeah. Did you ever see the movie Ready Player One?
No.
So it's I'm getting very Ready Player One vibes from this, where it's kind of what you mentioned, how people become so absorbed in this virtual world that their real world is just in absolute shambles. Like their real life living conditions are terrible, but their virtual life living conditions are amazing. So like that's what they care about. So it's a little reminiscent of that, in that it's kind of escaping the real for the not real, but then the not real becomes the real for these people. Well, so then will they have a not real escape within their new real? So it's like the meta within the metaverse. Like at what point does it stop?
Well, it's interesting that we're talking about this because according to BBC, net addiction is a real problem. They're talking about people who have struggled with online addiction for over 10 years, and they've told their family they had jobs that they didn't have, and they were doing this and doing that because they were just so wrapped up in the internet, between gaming and between doing things and finding things out, or just, I guess people have become more shut down, more shut in with this pandemic and everything, that they think that you could be addicted to the internet. I guess you could be addicted to anything then, huh?
Yeah, I definitely think so. And I can see that. Just because from like you look at the internet, it's definitely a form of instant gratification. So you want to laugh, you go to YouTube, you type in guy falling off ladder, like, and you find 1,000 videos of guy falling off a ladder into a swimming pool, and you're like, ha, 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 yeah, there it is. So it's an instant gratification thing. So anything you want, you can find. And the internet is the best and worst thing to ever happen, because it opens up literally the entire world to everything. But then it also opens up the entire world to everything.
Lisa and I were watching something on Netflix about, old times and old medical practices and lobotomies and stuff like that. And we weren't watching it for the gore aspect. It was just interesting that, 150 years ago or so, this was the practice. Now, if you took somebody from that 150 years ago and you put them on our planet now, and and they know nothing but that time from 150 years ago, they'd be so overwhelmed, I think. And I think that's why, like when we talked about the alien situation before, and now this technology has been slowly trickled out over the years. We couldn't handle it all at one time, man. We'd go crazy. The whole world would be insane. So they have to, piece by piece, put it out there. They can't do the whole thing at once.
Yeah, you don't even have to do the 150 years. Like, honestly, like, there are people that get out of prison serving 25, 30-year sentences. So think, 30 years ago, they went into prison in 1991.
No cell phones, no nothing really for most part.
No,
Yeah.
nothing. The internet was very conceptual. It was obviously nowhere near what it is now. So you could imagine the world that these people are coming into. They're getting like serving their 30-year sentence, getting out now after going in 91. Like I could only imagine the I don't want to say trauma, but like it's a lot. it's a lot to come into. It's like, oh no, you don't have. It's not a landline anymore. It's a mobile computer where you can look up anything you want in your pocket. Like,
did you ever ride Space Mountain? Before you went on Space Mountain, it was there in that little room. They showed you.
Yeah. So it's
Haven't you watched Star Trek from the '60s? Yeah, they had little telecommunicators, and we phased in places. Boo, they sucked you up into another place.
Yeah. Name whatever you want, you can find it. It's out there. So, yeah, it's super interesting because going back to the addictive personalities and like people being addicted, I think it's. I don't know. I kind of go back and forth because I feel like it is something you should be sympathetic about, but at the same time, you got to have that like some level of self-control, and you got to have some level of a personal accountability for it. So it's like, I don't know.
Well, it's just like anything else. You can do anything you want, just as long as you do it in moderation. Because anything you do, if I ate 500 pounds of chocolate, I'd probably die. You know, I mean, I like chocolate, but I can't sit down and eat 500 pounds of it all at one time. It's not good for me. I know that. Everybody knows that. So I think sitting in front of the internet, sitting with our phones, which are now connected to the internet, doing things with these electronics, we've, well, what's 5 more minutes? Well, what's another hour? Well, I've already been up till 4 in the morning. I got to get up at 6. I might as well stay up all night. I mean, this is where we're at. On top of the fact that you had mentioned about instant gratification. When I was little, we didn't have a microwave oven. Didn't have it. When I was like almost 20 years old, late teens, 16 or whatever, that we got our first microwave oven. And it was so exciting because you could microwave stuff and you didn't have to cook stuff it wasn't this long drawn out process. Nowadays, you stand in front of the microwave going, come on, I don't have all minute. Let's go.
All right, let's wrap this up. Come on.
Yeah, it's crazy how far we've come. So I imagine a time traveler from the past to the future. Imagine it was the opposite though. Somebody from the future comes back to this time period and they're like, oh, you ain't seen nothing yet. You just wait till this thing comes out. Oh, so-and-so, he ends up dying. He's killed by so-and-so. Shut up. No way. Yeah. If I had told you in 2019 that the world's economy would be shut down, everyone would be told to stay in their house and don't go out without a covering on your face, you'd have told me I was insane. You said, no friggin' way. Stop. No way. Now look back.
Yeah. Times change quickly, and it's super interesting because with the internet as well, it gets people out of their bubble, but keeps people in their bubble at the same time, if that makes sense. So it exposes people to different ideas and different people that they may have never met, because otherwise 60, 70, 80 years ago, you knew the people you lived next to and you worked with. That was about it. Now, you can connect with people who live in Belgium, connect with people who live in Japan, connect with people in real time. And you could play video games with these people and hang out with these people and get to know these people. So, it's like the internet is limitless, but it's a good thing and a bad thing. Like it's so interesting to sit and think about.
Well, the internet has done a lot of things, but when you're locked up and cooped up, sometimes you have those get off my lawn moments. So we're going to talk about get off my lawn here in just a second.
Get off my lawn. Not in this lifetime, Sonny. Well, I think you're an overeducated 27-year-old version. There's a Mexican, a Jew, and a colored guy go into a bar. The bartender looks up and says, get the fuck out of here. Get off my lawn. Used to stack fucks like you 5 feet high in Korea. Use you for sandbags. Can't you people just leave me alone? Get off my lawn. You'd think the cold would keep all the idiots out. What are all you fish heads looking at anyway? Get off my lawn. You people are nuts. I knew you were a dipshit the first time I ever saw you. You're wrong, egg roll. I know exactly what I'm talking about. You're letting click, clack, ding dong.
All right, so this episode of Get Off My Lawn, and Get Off My Lawn is it's exactly what you think it is. I mean, okay, take a look at this guy right here. Talk about Smurfs before. He looks like Papa Smurf, about 80 years old, right? White beard, balding head. All right. This guy's from Rogersville in Hawkins County, which is in Tennessee. Are you familiar? I know you lived in that area for a while.
Hawkins County, it sounds familiar. Let me do a quick little search to see if
An 88-year-old Hawkins County man was charged with 4 counts of aggravated assault Monday evening after he allegedly fired a shotgun at his neighbor's residence over a loud music dispute. Police, I mean, I hate to laugh, but police say that when deputies arrived to investigate the initial shots fired complaint, Otis Vernon Robinson, 88, of 277 Perry Smith Road, Rogersville, then fired shots again, hitting the neighbor's mobile home and nearly hitting a father and son and 2 deputies. This is the ultimate get off my lawn guy.
Yeah, this guy's a dumb old man. That's what he is.
They weren't even on his lawn. They were just saying stuff loud.
Right.
I'm guessing if you're in Tennessee at a place like this and it's a mobile home, it's not like a housing community nowadays where they're like, boom, 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 right on top. I trust there's a little bit of acreage, you know?
Yeah.
Go in your house and turn your TV up. I don't know what to tell you.
Well, that's the thing. His TV was probably already all the way up. To listen to his stories, he probably has to crank that thing to 11. But yeah, this guy, you know what? He deserves everything he's got coming to him. Dumb old man.
But he's 88 years old. How do you live to be 88 and not make mistakes like this? And then you're 88 and then you do shit like this. It's like you pissed everything away. I don't understand. I mean, I hope I never find out. I mean, this guy's saying that. They're saying, check this out. Robinson spent the night in the Hawkins County Jail and was arraigned Tuesday morning in Hawkins County Sessions Court on 4 counts of aggravated assault, which is a Class C felony punishable by 3 to 6 years if convicted. That's it. He could spend the rest of his life in jail, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know. Sometimes I encountered this sometimes when through various jobs I've had where. I've worked with some crabby old men, and they're like, "Oh, that's just John. He's old." I'm like, "No. He's
doesn't give him permission."
I'm like, "Don't enable him. He's an asshole." Is he old? Yes. Don't enable him. Don't give him an excuse. Like, no, he's a piece of garbage. Just call it how it is. It's one of those things where, like, if I was acting the way this guy was acting,
right.
Would you call me? Oh, he's just young. No, you'd call me an asshole. So it's like call it how it is. Don't forgive these guys. Don't enable them. Don't. Yeah, like this guy deserves everything he's got coming to him. Absolutely everything.
Well, speaking of assholes, this person was a victim of something somebody did. Thai police say that a woman cut a rope holding 2 window cleaners 26 floors in the air. No, painters, not window cleaners, painters. So they're on like this scaffolding with the ropes and stuff. Yeah. There's 2 guys on one of these. They're painting the outside of the building. And a woman who apparently was agitated that they were out there doing this on the high-rise condominium in Thailand. This is according to KSL.com. She was angry she wasn't told they would be doing the work. So she opened up the window and cut the rope on one of those. And these guys are dangling for their lives. When will it end? When will the stupidity stop?
Yeah,
Is that like, the Disney effect? Is that because when you go to Disney, everything's clean and everybody acts a certain way, and you expect as if? I told this story many times before. I worked at Yellowstone National Park one summer as a teen, and every year they said somebody would try to put their kid on a bison for a photo op, and the bison would gore the kid, and they'd be all upset. Why did this happen? You put your kid on a wild animal. Why do you? So my question is, as a society, have we, through video games, through horror flicks, whatever, are we that desensitized that we can just cut the rope on somebody and go, get the hell out of here? Does it not affect us anymore?
I think it very well could. I think that's a good point, because it's like, I think, like, with this lady in particular, here's what I'm interested in. What's the best case scenario for you cutting the rope?
That's what happened. I don't think either one of these guys died, so I think that's the best case scenario.
So if this is the best case scenario, like I'm just curious how she thought it would play out.
Well, she's a 34-year-old woman. She first denied she was responsible, and then police sent the severed rope for fingerprint and DNA analysis. She could face up to 20 years in prison if found guilty on a charge of attempted murder.
Yeah, absolutely, that's attempted murder, 100%.
Crazy. Well, I might as well keep the crazy train going here. You ever look at somebody's photo and go, yeah, he did it. Yeah, that guy did it.
All the time.
I think this guy did this. And what caught me, what attracted me to this story is the headline. Man arrested in stolen Ricky Bobby racing suit. Hang on, I'm bringing up the thing. All of a sudden, my thing's slow here. After a wild crime spree. So this guy, this is in Clackamas County, Oregon. A 25-year-old man is behind bars on numerous charges, according to KPTV.com, after a wild crime spree that ended when he was arrested while wearing a stolen Ricky Bobby Talladega Nights racing suit. What is wrong with people? What has happened?
Now, we touched on this before. Could this be a viral marketing attempt for a video, for a TV show that's coming out? Because there's a lot of buzzwords you just hit there.
Yeah.
Crime free,
yeah.
Ricky Bobby, costume. There's a lot of conveniently placed buzzwords there. I'm just saying.
Well, apparently this guy went on a crime spree. He stole a pickup truck. He had some woman with him. They ended up trying to use spike sticks on him. They found weapons on him, and apparently he robbed people and did all this stuff. This is what he's charged with, okay?
He just wanted to go fast.
Attempted assault, attempt to elude a police officer, failure to perform driver something, burglary, failure to appear unlawful use of a weapon, he had outstanding warrants already. His bail set at like $342,500.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, I know people snap. I know stuff happens. I get it. People have bad days. I mean, I get it. You know, you wake up tomorrow and you try again. You know, the Ricky Bobby suit really got me. Why bring Will Ferrell into this? He didn't do anything.
Listen, if you ain't first, you're last. So he's trying to set the record for most charges he could possibly rack up under a single arrest. He was was it like a Grand Theft Auto and Saints Row, like some mission, yes. Damage and havoc as possible. He's just living his best life, living a real life Grand Theft Auto. He wanted to experience it. Unfortunately, it looks like he won't be experiencing much after that, but.
Wow. Well, I've let time totally get away from us. We got like 60 seconds left here, so I'm going to throw us to the outro here in a second. But anybody you want to give a shout out to? This is normally what we do in about 10 seconds or less here.
Nothing really comes to mind, honestly. Yeah, thanks again for having me on. This was fun talking shop with you.
If you're watching us on twitch.tv/bothmics, we're going to be back in 5 minutes with a second live show here. And this has been episode 68. We're going to be going to 69 here. And I look forward to seeing everybody back here in just a minute.